Furia.
Welcome back, my friends, to the In Obscuria podcast, a podcast where we exhume obscure rock and punk and metal, and we put them in one of three categories: the lost, the forgotten, or the should-have-beens. My name is one of those should-have-beens, maybe. My name is Kevin Williams.
You were a was then.
I was a was then.
Still now, and making a new now.
And that man over there, who is that talking? Who is that guy? Oh, my God.
McAllister.
Mr. Robert Harrison.
Robert Harrison. Strat McAllister is my new alias. Everybody's getting
That's your porno name.
Yeah, because everybody's figuring out my other alias, so I got to keep things separate. You know, the public life and the private life, all the good stuff.
Nice.
Such a well-known celebrity in this industry.
Is this an industry?
In this room.
Oh, in the room.
In the room, yeah.
Got it.
Between the dog over there in the corner knows me well.
Well, we were back as of last week. We took a little break. We came back last week. We had an amazing festival.
My ears are still ringing from the Ghost Fest. Yeah, I got to tell you, that was a lot of fun.
Looks like you got everything cleaned up, though, so it looks pretty good.
We brought in a crew, groundskeeping crew.
Nice.
Swept it out.
Oh, I just heard thunder. We're going to have some thunder.
That's kind of rock and roll to have thunder while you're podcasting.
I hope it lightnings on us, and we'll get some real amazing... Actually, our stuff would just go dead, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Just get your lips right on that microphone. Make sure your lips are on it. Just kiss it.
All right. Well, any tales from this week? Anything going on that the world just needs to know about?
Nothing that the world needs to know about. Things have gone on, but there is not
one thing?
Darn thing that the world needs to know about that happened.
Not one thing?
One thing? I am stirring it up here in our little tiny town. I'm just, it's a lot of fun to be a community instigator, and I'm just thriving in that role of just being a pain in the ass to the local city government in a good way. In a positive way.
So for people who maybe don't know, we are just outside of Atlanta. I mean, like a few minutes.
We're next door to Atlanta.
We're basically next door to Atlanta, but we're in a little town called Smyrna, right outside. And Robert just happens to be the mayor of Smyrna. Well,
no, I'm the
something like that.
Dark force behind the scenes. A power broker in this small town. No, it's
power broker.
Yeah, we have a nice little town, but it's kind of boring, and so we've been stirring it up and bringing a lot of really cool art. We installed some art this past weekend at the train depot right around the corner. Made that look cool. Now we're moving on to other things, and just one by one introducing our nice little town to some really cool, funky art.
I like it
the way it should be.
I like it. You read anything interesting lately? Maybe on Facebook today.
Facebook, yeah, that's my go-to for my reading material.
That's about as long as I could read.
Yeah, I don't read on Instagram. It's just pictures, so I don't even look at the comments on Instagram.
Yeah, I'm so much more refined than Instagram. I mean, those words are very little. I like to read it almost an entire paragraph.
Yeah, you get caught up reading the stupid ass comments of some stranger's post. Like, it's just stupid what the social media has devolved to.
Well, I did notice a little something today from my former bandmate and friend of yours, Miss Elizabeth Elkins. Mm-hmm. She was reminding us all that the pandemic is over and shows are happening, and guess who else has shown up in the post-pandemic world? Yes, the asshole sound engineer is back.
We experienced all forms. We had a couple that really loved us, and then we had the same ones, but we weren't women getting mansplained by sound engineers. That just makes it even worse.
We talked about that a few weeks ago when we did our Woman Scorned episode, and we talked about my experience with Elizabeth, because she was the front woman of our band. She played guitar, lead singer. She was the face of the band that I was in with her, and I guess still exists. I keep saying was, but the band is still around.
It's still there, just in case. She could make a phone call.
We could play it any time.
Yeah.
Who knows when?
You got my house.
We could play it any time.
You got my house. Just come on over.
But she often was the victim of the sound man, who, if you don't know who a sound man is, they basically twiddle a couple of knobs, or they're supposed to twiddle a couple of knobs so that you can hear everything okay from the room, right? So they twiddle the knobs, and then that should be the only thing they do. But what sound men also like to do is they like to give a lot of unwanted advice, and they like to give a lot of attitude, and basically they are just musicians that are scorned themselves because they would rather be on stage playing, but for whatever whatever reason they're not. And so they're going to take it out on you, who is the artist on stage.
And what I commented on her post, I said, sound men are basically the building inspectors of the music world, because building inspectors, for the most part, are failed contractors. But they spend their entire life trying to prove that, no, they really are good, even though they completely failed as a contractor. So these D-bags that sit behind their little soundboard, their throne back there and kind of peek above it and roll their eyes. Yeah, doing sound checks for those guys was comical, to say the least.
Yeah, not to say that every sound man sucks, but there's a good percentage that do.
Yeah.
Just from a social aspect of even knowing how to speak to another person who doesn't happen to be your relative or something. I don't know. It's
a different breed.
A lot of attitude from a lot of these guys, and for no real reason other than they just think that everybody's stupid and they think they are smarter than everyone else in the room at all times.
Now, one of the reasons we didn't get as much scorn is we were the most prompt band I think ever existed. We showed up on time and we had our shit ready. And if they said load in is at 6:30 or 7, we were there at 6:30 or 7. And most other bands were dicking around doing who knows what. So I think we got a little bit better attitude from some of them. But even when you're on time, some of those guys were just already cranky from 2 years before that.
Yeah. So, in the swear with Elizabeth, she would get the brunt of the, the chauvinistic man sound engineer who is going to explain to her how to use a mic or how to strum a guitar or how to plug it in, or just assuming that she knows nothing. And she's always like, look, asshole, I've been doing this since I was 16.
Yeah, so this guy recently was telling her that she needed to have in-ear monitors, and it was an outdoor
and an acoustic show. A small acoustic show. The sound man just today on Facebook, she was tweeting. She was messaging typing this on Facebook, and she may have tweeted it as well. Who knows? But she was basically saying that this sound guy said that she was unprofessional. Now, she is in a band called Granville Automatic, and they have been touring the country for 5 years, maybe 6 years.
Works in the industry. In addition to that,
she's a songwriter living in Nashville.
A professional
this is
songwriter.
What she does, and she's been, like I said, the front woman in our rock band.
Front person.
Well, no, she's a woman, and they've, basically, she's been in the business for over 20 years.
Yeah.
So this person told her that she was unprofessional because she did not have in-ear monitors.
Yeah. For
an acoustic gig. Okay.
And there's two of them.
There's two of them in this group. This is a duo.
It's not like they have 4 drummers and 3 keyboard players.
Basically, they have an acoustic guitar and a mic, and sometimes Vanessa plays a little bit of percussion, but
tambourine or something.
Tambourine and kicks a suitcase as a kick drum. But really,
this guy was probably in junior high school when she started playing.
But it did remind me of a couple of stories of the swear, the two favorite stories. So there's this place in Nashville, and if you're from Nashville, you'll know this person. There's a sound engineer who used to work at this club called the Rutledge. And literally, we got to the Rutledge. We were very prompt as well. We showed up on time from Atlanta, which is a 4-hour drive. We showed up on time to Nashville for this Rutledge load-in, and we were looking for the sound man, and the guy says, oh, he's back there. And he's literally playing chess, sitting outside playing chess, and I believe he's just playing himself. I don't think there's somebody else playing with him. And we said, hey, we're from Atlanta. He gave us the sign, like, stop. I am playing chess. When I'm done with this, I'll take care of you guys. So we literally just had to wait around because there's nobody else at the club other than the bartender who's doing their job.
Yeah.
And so Frank had to finish his chess game with, I believe, himself before he would even let us load in or tell us what to do. And then it was just attitude. So if you know of the Rutledge, I don't believe it's there any longer. But you probably remember Frank if you ever played the Rutledge in Nashville. That was one place that I remember. And I believe he tried to explain to Elizabeth just how to, get the guitar on and plug it in and how to sing in a mic, and explain to her that she needed to, develop her voice a little better because she obviously doesn't have a lot of time in front of a mic and all this stuff. And she's like, what the hell? And then I'm also reminded of a gig that we played in Atlanta where the sound guy, and this is the first and only time I've ever seen this before, it was in a strip mall, this new place that opened. It was kind of an all-ages show, and it was actually pretty cool because it was like a little, not an arena, but it was like a little music hall where it had seats, sort of like if you were in a small venue, kind of like a movie theater style seats. So it was pretty cool, and they had stage, and it was just in the strip mall. Now, there was nothing else in the strip mall, so there was no risk of being too loud, okay? But this particular sound man had a decibel meter, and he would literally go to each amp And all right, play for me. Okay, yeah, that's too many dBs. I'm going to need you to just take it down a little bit. And he'd measure it again. Play again. No, just bring it up just a hair. No, take it down 2 notches. And he did this for every single amp. And even the drummer, he's like, okay, you're going to need to hit it about that level. And we're like, what are you doing?
Oh, that.
What is going on?
Add that to the list of places I would have been thrown out of.
That place did
I would have
not
turned
last.
up as soon as he turned his back.
Oh, we just turned up, I believe. I think Jeremy was like, oh, screw this guy.
Yeah, once you start, he can turn on the PA, but he can't turn on your amp.
And so that was a funny one. But just some sound man stories. I'm sure there are lots of musicians out there who listen to this. I would love to hear some sound man stories because this is not.
It's got to be an industry phenomenon.
Yeah, this is industry wide. This happens to everyone. So I'd love to get some of those stories, and maybe we'll read them. Your best bad sound guy experience.
These guys most likely would all be at the same Dragon Con convention, I'm pretty sure. There's just something about that personality.
Yep. Well, after you check your decibels to see if you're too loud, go listen to Pot of Thunder, Cobras and Fire, Growing Up Rock, the Slamfest podcast, Decibel Geek, Metal Up Your Podcast, The Hustle, Dummy Room, Podcast Rock City, History Science Theater, State of Amorica, Rock Strikes 10, Potter Than Hell, The Podcast, The Kiss Room, I Love It Loudcast, Ages of Rock, The Synaptic Empire, and Monty's Rockcast. Come visit us at inobscuria.com. Like us, share, recommend on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and please leave us a review, and please leave us your Soundman story on any of the socials, or send us an email. We have that as well.
That's old-fashioned.
That is old-fashioned. And guess what? You could also do a really old-fashioned thing and actually come out and talk to us in person. In person. How can you do this? Do you have to come to the firehouse? No.
No, you have to hitchhike to Nashville.
All you got to do is get yourself to Nashville.
This August will rock as Rockin' Pod returns to Nashville. This annual convention brings together rock artists, fans, and podcasters for an unforgettable rock experience. Meet Billy Sheehan, Ron Keel, Ricky Rachtman, Mark Goodman, Matt Pinfield, Don Jameson of That Metal Show, drum legends Carmine Appice and Vinny Appice, along with current and former members of Winger, LA Guns, Accept, Roxy Blue, and more. Panels, signing sessions, and vinyl and memorabilia vendors, all available to you at Rockin' Pod. Music podcasters from all over North America will be appearing on site for live interviews, networking, and speaking sessions. Got a music podcast? Register and join us. Rockin' Pod Weekend kicks off with a pre-party concert featuring former Tesla guitarist Tommy Skio and his new band Resist and Bite. Plus, Ron Keel Acoustic, Rock United, and a rare hair set featuring many surprise guests. Rockin' Pod Weekend, August 6th through the 8th in Nashville, Tennessee. Tickets, VIP, podcaster registration, and discounted hotel rooms are available now at rockandpod.com. Rockin' Pod, brought to you by DBG Productions, Brad Lee Entertainment, and Incaptia.
Yeah. Come on.
That was short. Play it again.
I don't even know what that is. I have no idea why that is at the end of the Rockin' Pod commercial, but I like it.
I mean, isolate that and use it for our stuff?
We'll just make that our intro,
Yeah.
our new intro. Well, guess what? Not only are we going to be in Nashville, but we have our own sponsor. Did you know we have a new sponsor?
Sponsored by Rice-A-Roni, the San Francisco treat.
No.
Oh.
This is who we're sponsored by.
All the kids go for my mom's sandwiches, and so does Dad, especially the deviled ham ones.
Underwood Deviled Ham.
My mom makes great sandwiches. This one's deviled ham.
Underwood Deviled Ham.
My mom always gives me meat sandwiches to keep me going. Like deviled ham.
It's all good ham and a pinch of spices. For good meat and good flavor, try the whole ham spread from Underwood.
Underwood Deviled Ham. When you're that hungry that you will stoop to new lows and eat deviled ham.
What's in deviled ham, Mommy?
Meat and some spices.
Lips and assholes. Yes.
A few schnoots.
If you come by and talk to us, not only will you get the most amazing interview of your life, but we will also award you with your very own personalized
In
Obscuria deviled ham.
That's right. Nobody else is going to be offering that. I guarantee it.
We were the only ones to secure the sponsorship with Underwood.
Yes. It took a lot of phone calls, a lot of Zoom meetings. This happened during the pandemic. So lots of time online to get a hold of them. They're all spread out all across the country. So
once we finally got in touch with Lucifer, it was a brilliant discussion.
You have to speak to my marketing department. Stand by, please.
So come by and get your deviled ham. Okay, I am done with the commercials, so we can talk about our subject of today.
Oh, that's right. We're actually here to talk about music.
We're actually here to talk about music. We're probably like 80 minutes in.
Yeah, that's right. We'll just do a couple of songs and call it a day.
So last week when we did our Ghost Fest episode, we 24/7 Spies, and I started thinking about that episode. That was episode 4. That was a long time ago.
That seems so long ago. We were little babies then.
And we did something in that episode to get the theme of that week that we have not revisited. And that was using an old ghost hunter's trick, which is to use a transistor radio.
Oh.
So I thought, you know what? I should do that again. I should go down to the crypt and see if that will give us something, because I've had a little trouble with the Ouija board lately. So I don't know, maybe my planchette's broken.
Yeah, but the transistors, are they, did you kind of warm them up, get them just ready for this? I mean,
I of course
do it cold.
I did it cold.
Yeah, okay.
So, no telling what we're going to get, but I just, I cut it on. I did record after I said, reaching out, give me a theme, give me something to talk about. And this is what I got. So just check it out.
So don't be caught doing something stupid like picking your butt or your nose. Unless that's the way you like to be seen.
It's coming in. Almost there. Hold on.
It's lightning outside pretty bad, so I can't tell if it's actual
Straight
on the
from down
recording.
the road in St. Augustine, coming in a combined weight of approximately 651 pounds. In this corner, we have Spider Monkey, and the crowd goes wild.
It's about that time for a little bit of that, 1, 2, 3, 4.
People on this side, people on that side, run to the middle and hope it don't good. Everybody shaking the butt, come on now. Everybody shaking the butt, come on now. Everybody shaking the butt, come on now. Everybody shaking the butt. Spider bugs in the house. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Spider bugs in the house. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Spider bugs in the house. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Spider bugs in the house. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Now everybody shaking that butt. Come on now. Everybody shaking the butt. Come on now. Everybody shaking the butt. Come on now. Everybody shaking the butt. Spider bugs in the house. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Spider bugs in the house. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Spider bugs in the house. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Spider bugs in the house. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Boom, boom, boom. What you guys got to say out there for Randy? monkeys in the house. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Spider monkeys in the house. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Spider monkeys in the house. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Yeah! Do you think it's over yet? Do you want more?
Well, actually, it is over. So I am hot and sweaty just listening to that. I remember that concert.
So if you didn't gather from all of that who that is,
What was their name again?
yeah, I think Spider Monkey is in the house.
He spelled it 12 times.
He spelled it. So we should be good here. But yes, we are going to be talking about a band that we covered one song when we did our unsigned artist episode last year, and we played one song from Spider Monkey. I felt like it was time for episode 84. Grave mistake.
Yes.
Spider Monkey should have been huge.
Yes.
And this is...
we had a first-hand account of that.
Exactly.
Some of these bands we just heard of or heard songs about years later, but this one we saw firsthand at their height.
And this was a band that never signed a deal. They could have easily been on a major label. Mm-hmm. All the stories of the why behind why that didn't happen, it's really hard to find a lot about them because they were more of a regional band. So who are they? They're a band from St. Augustine, Florida. And I believe they started off, some of them maybe were in Ohio or Pennsylvania, I can't remember, but they've all kind of met
settled
in Florida.
In the Southeast.
I think one of the guys was from Florida, and the rest were from elsewhere, but they met in Florida. They started their perpetual tour, is what they called it, in 1992. That perpetual tour went on until 1999. This band lived out of their refurbished Ryder truck, and they just basically toured mostly the East Coast. They were mostly doing college town touring, and they would just pack houses everywhere they went. They were a very powerful live act. You could say they were, I mean, you just heard it, but you could say they were kind of funky. They were power pop. Mm-hmm. They had their ballads. Guys loved them. Chicks really loved them.
Mm-hmm. And running around without their shirts off, it was easy to see.
Yeah, it was power pop. It was pop punk, and it was kind of Chili Pepper style funk.
Yeah, the bass player really added the Chili Peppers edge to it.
Yeah, and it was, like I said, 92 to 99. They were in that sweet spot. The Chili Peppers were huge, mm-hmm. right? So they could kind of use that to help catapult them a little bit. I don't know how big of a fan. I'm sure that Tony was a fan of Flea, but he definitely had a Flea style funk playing mm-hmm. bass. But they did a lot of power pop, and because of the way that they came across on stage, they were all good looking dudes. Mm-hmm. Girls, I mean, just amazing the pull that they had with girls, and they were playing this fun kind of dancey, funky power pop, so it just fit really well with the college girls at that time.
So you think that had any influence on us at all?
Yeah, really, especially on me. So yeah, just
I mean, that song right there, the song you played last week, 3 days,
right?
And played that back to back with these guys.
This is true.
We saw them in '99. So
yeah, you saw them with me kind of as they were starting
towards the end, but they were still amazing.
And we'll talk about how they changed a little bit, because I got to see them. So I was introduced to them by one of my roommates. So my roommate Blake Shaver saw them, and he was just raving about this band. And just so happened we went to Clemson, which is in South Carolina, and basically we're just on their track of their tour. So they would come around, several times a semester to our college town, and then we would actually even travel to see them. We would go to the next college up, or when we went on spring break, we saw them. So they became our college group, and all of the friends that I had in college, all the guys I lived with and our friends that we just hung out with all the time, this was our band. Mm-hmm. There were other regional acts who would come through as well that we liked, but this was the main one, and really the main one for me, because I was in a band at the time, and I was kind of transitioning from the weird stuff that I was just trying to learn how to write into I wanted to play funk music. And this band kind of helped me, along with all the other things I was listening to, but this band kind of helped me see that you can do this kind of your own way, this funky kind of thing, but still rock. And it really works. So they were kind of the template for me for my band Confunky Fried that came after the band that I had when we actually opened for Spider Monkey called Minor Earth. But like I said, we never missed a show. We even saw them every single day at Spinnaker's in Panama City.
Oh, God.
Panama City, Florida. We went down there for spring break.
They just knocked that down, by the way.
Oh, yeah. There was Club La Vila,
Club La
and
Vila
Spinnaker's.
and Spinnaker. Yeah, they
knocked
those down.
They had a wet
weeks
T-shirt
ago.
contest, 365 days a year. They had a wet T-shirt contest.
I think more than once a day.
Yes.
During spring break. I think it would go on,
They had multiple stages. It was on the beach.
It was nuts.
It was just
See, that was our
debauchery.
closest beach to go to from Florida State. It was a 2-hour drive, and that was insane.
But we went to Panama City. Spider Monkey just happened to be playing Spinnaker's that entire week. We literally saw them every day. We got to be the Clemson guys. So whenever they saw us in the crowd after that,
the Clemson guys!
Hey, the Clemson guys are here. Because it was the same crew of us.
That's me!
So we were like, yeah! So like I said, I patterned a lot of my own songwriting after this band because it was just so contagious and so energetic. And like I said, the women loved them. I never wrote songs that women loved until I tried to do kind of what Spider Monkey was doing. So poppy mid-tempo ballads sprinkled in helped them a lot with that, but I never really went down that path too much. But they liked the funky stuff too. So I changed, like I said, my already progressive stuff into more funk. My band Minor Earth got to open for Spider Monkey twice. Now, one of the times didn't really come to fruition. So the first time we opened for them in 94, 95, somewhere around there at our local main club in Clemson called Tiger Town Tavern. And we opened for Spider Monkey, and I remember talking to Tony, the bass player, after the show, and he's like, "Oh, you're the Glenn Danzig sounding guy." I remember, so I used to have 2 songs that I sang. I was the guitarist, but there were 2 songs that I wrote that I wanted to sing, and I guess I was projecting a little Glenn at that point in time.
I could see that.
So,
I've never thought about it. You're absolutely right, though. That's all I'm going to think about now.
So just for people calling me the Glenn Danzig, I'm like, huh? Like, okay, sure. And then we opened for them another time at Tiger Town, and they didn't show up. Their rider van broke down. So they had one of these, what do you call it? Moving, basically like a big moving truck, right? Yeah. And they had kind of modded it so that they could put all their gear in the back, and then they had a bed in the back, and they rode around in this thing for years, and it would
4 guys
break down on them all the time. And so they actually missed a gig. And so what we tried to do is we played our show. I think we played our set twice, and we tried to do an impromptu improv version of a couple of Spider Monkey songs.
Oh, how'd that go?
It actually went pretty well because people were there to see them. So they were like, okay, I guess we'll let you do this because they were supposed to be here and they're not. But yeah, we played their big song was Girlfriend, which was one of the little bits that we heard in there earlier.
Okay.
Whoa, oh. And basically the crowd would sing that for like 2 minutes. You don't even have to do anything.
Oh, well, that makes it easy.
That makes it easy.
Vince Neil figured that out.
Now, something else that you'll find interesting, Robert, about this band is they used to wear and sell garage uniform shirts. So they would actually buy old, used garage uniform shirts, and then they would screen print their logo on the front and on the back. Well, I bought one of these shirts, and the first time I met my wife was after a gig.
I remember this story.
Soul Speak, and I'm wearing my Spider Monkey garage shirt.
Thinking you're pretty damn cool.
Thinking I'm cool, and it's got a name tag on it that says Justin. It's like Chrysler Justin, and then on the other side it says Spider Monkey. And so I met my wife this evening that I happened to be wearing this shirt, and she obviously thought my name was Justin and called me Justin several times.
Josephus.
Yeah, and then later would tell me how she couldn't believe that she even talked to some guy who was wearing a garage shirt.
Yeah, you don't wear that with her anymore, do you?
I don't. I still have it in the closet, though.
You think that's a coincidence? No.
Oh, I will be taking a picture of that shirt for this episode.
Yeah,
though,
just not standing next to her.
Well, I might now. We've been married long enough. I can do anything just to get a rise out of her. So this band, they released 4 albums on their own. Reportedly, from what I could find, they sold over 50,000 CDs on their own over this course of time. And I believe it because they could just hawk their gear like nobody's business. I mean, everybody that went to see them in a sold out little college club would probably go home with a CD and a t-shirt. They just had cool merch. They had cool stickers. You'd see them on the cars, and we would go to other towns and you'd see a Spider Monkey sticker on somebody's car. I mean, they were great at selling their stuff. So reportedly they sold over 50,000 CDs on their own. So in the 90s, the music business was still a thriving thing, and they were picking up bands and throwing a lot of money at bands who weren't selling 50,000 CDs on their own. So why this band didn't get picked up, I don't know. It could have just been that the right deal didn't come to them or what. But they played, I did find out that they played numerous showcases in New York and LA. And back then, that was one of the ways that you got picked up.
Yeah.
You go play a showcase, you'd invite all these industry folks out. If one of them or several of them liked you, then you started a bidding war. That's how it worked back then. Whatever reason, again, it never happened for Spider Monkey, and I just never could understand it. So they basically form in 92, and they start their tour, and they put out their first CD in 93, and it's got a ton of songs on it that they played live all the time, all the way through the end. So it was, it's that whole first album's usually the one with the most hits on it, if you will, or at least, from what they were doing. So I'm going to play something off the first album called Road Dogs, which they released in 93. So Tony was the bass player, Todd is the singer, Todd Horn, and then Randy Ruckalata, of course that's not his name, but he was the drummer. They relocated to St. Augustine. They met this local surfer skater dude named Garrett Coleman, and they started Spider Monkey. So after 2 weeks of rehearsing, they had enough songs for their opening spot, and they were off to the races.
Damn.
So, pretty awesome story. And again, from 92 to 99, they were on the road constantly. They performed between 250 and 300 shows per year for those years.
I mean, they're just showing up in towns probably and say, where can we play?
I mean, they played the same venues. They would go in and just slay.
Yeah.
I mean, people just loved them, right? And then we would come back and they'd have more people, and then they'd sell it out.
I guess
and
that's how. You called up and said, hey, man, we want to play Friday.
We were here a month ago. We're coming back by.
Yeah.
Can we play? Yep.
Clubs boot the other local bands out of there.
Yep, and clubs loved it. And there were several bands doing that, but none of them drew like Spider Monkey.
No, we saw them at the Chameleon Club. Is that where we saw them?
Chameleon Club in Atlanta. And even in Atlanta, of all places where you have a ton of bands vying for people, they would still.
Packed.
I saw them at The Point. I saw them at Chameleon. They always packed it out. I first saw them in 94. They were touring, like I said, in their Ryder truck. Kind of looks like a U-Haul. I don't think Ryder's around anymore. So for reference,
they're around.
Is Ryder still around? Okay, I know Penske kind of took over.
Oh, wait a minute.
That big yellow truck.
Yeah, that Penske did buy them
owns
out.
it
You're
now,
right. You're right.
But that's basically what it was. And by the time I saw them, they already had 2 CDs out. They'd only been around since 92, and they already had for their second release, they released a live album.
A best of.
Basically, they had their Road Dogs, and then they followed it up with a live album. So that's what they had when I saw them. I bought both of them. And like I said, first album, 18 songs. And just all of them in that wheelhouse of what Spider Monkey were. Just fun band. So I'm going to play the song Famous. They always played this live, usually near the end. Everybody would sing to this song. Everybody knew it. And now you're going to know it.
Everybody wants a face on a man.
true. So want to be famous. The thing that stood out to me with that song is its production quality. You have to put it into context. The most common complaint that you and I have of most music in the past 10 years is that it's just way overproduced. So you listen to that and you hear how simple it is. It almost sounds amateurish. Like
it does.
They probably did record it low budget.
They did. So they recorded this in a studio, but you got to put yourself in 1993.
Right, exactly. That's what a lot of music sounded like. They fit right in. It wasn't that this was an amateur thing. It fit right in with everything else that was on. Not everything, but a lot of other things that are on the radio.
Well, I mean, it is low budget. It's very much on that simple DIY kind of punk side of things. And if you go listen to any punk music from 1993 that was done on a budget, this is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
And the reason is, you only had so much time in the studio, so it was very bare bones, get in, get out. I bet they cut this mostly live. And like I said, there's 18 songs on this first album. So for them, it was just put as much out as you can on a CD. I'm sure they were in limited time in the studio, like I said, and this is what we got. But you hear that song live, and everybody in the packed house would be singing Famous at the top of their lungs and jumping up and down. That was another thing that Spider Monkey were great at.
That was a good bouncy song. You bounce
crowd participation. This band would get you up. They would basically yell at you if you weren't jumping up and down. And by the end of the night, the entire room would just be a sweaty mess, and people were just jumping up and down, having a good time. There'd be beer everywhere.
It's back when aerobics were a good thing.
Yeah. This was weight loss. This is what they did.
That's why every time I listen to them, it just makes me want to sweat, because that's the smell of that room. Everybody's sweating. 300 people sweating.
Totally. You're right. It was amateur first CD, very quickly done. They wrote these songs, they recorded them, they went out on the road. This is what they had to provide them meals. We're selling these CDs. So they have a certain place in my heart, obviously, because I saw this band so many times. But I can see what you're saying, that the production wise, it's limited.
But like I said, compared to other things back then, it wasn't as much of an outlier back then as opposed to now.
No, not at all.
Now, like I say, everything is just over God produced.
Well, unless you go that whole indie route, and then there are a whole bunch of bands are doing like this new kind of psychedelia, garagey thing now, that where this actually sounds overproduced to that stuff that's being done now. But people weren't recording on their computers or their home devices.
That was right before Pro Tools. Like about 3 years before Pro Tools.
Like my band, we actually were one of the only bands that were doing our own recordings on my drummer. He did everything, but he was an electrical engineer. He was, and he works for a major computer company now. This is what he always did. So we were ahead of the curve. We were the first to have a website. We recorded digitally, and we recorded a digital tape, if I remember correctly. DAT tape. Yep. And that was just, most bands weren't doing that. Most bands were doing what Spider Monkey did, which is you book some time, you go in the studio, and this is what you get.
You get a reel.
And you got a deal probably, and put as much as you can down in 2 hours, whatever it was. From there, obviously they kept their tour going. That came out in 93. By 94, they realized that their real potential and their power was in their live show. So why not for your second album? I mean, I think most bands do this, right? Why not for your second album, put out a live album, release, about half of the same songs that you had on the first CD, and then play some new ones as well.
I think it's genius.
It totally worked. They were running the East Coast circuit for the most part in 93, 94. So if you were in college on the East Coast, you probably heard of Spider Monkey in your town. And the bands that they were playing with, see if you remember in these bands, Robert. I remember Uncle Mingo.
Yes.
They were a band from Charleston. There was a band called Full Stop, who I've mentioned before. They were from, I want to say Virginia. I could be wrong there, but I know that we played with them. There's another band from Virginia that we've played called Egypt. They were playing with Egypt. We played them on one of our funk episodes. There was a great band from New Jersey who at some point we're going to have to dive into a little bit, called Two Skinny Jays.
Yes.
Remember them? It was a band called Everything. They were a little more hippy-dippy. And then there was a band called Sister Hazel that some folks may remember.
Yes, one huge
who got
hit.
kind of big. Yeah, but Spider Monkey was playing with all of these bands, so they were all running the same circuit up and down the East Coast for the most part.
Yeah, Uncle Mingo was a frequent visitor in Hilton Head when I lived there.
Yeah, and they were from South Carolina, so that makes sense. But, I remember going to football games, right? Like going to UNC. When Clemson would play UNC, we'd go to UNC, and we'd see people in their white shirts that have the 4 monkeys on the front and Spider Monkey in the back. Like, yep.
Instant friends.
Spider Monkey's been through here. You got something to talk about. So anyway, I'm going to play from the Perpetual Tour in 1994. This is the live album, and this is Whoda!
Get ready to rumble! Whoda! 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 Who the hell you
That was nostalgic. I'm not kidding.
They always played that song too.
There was something about the sound of that song that really, like, for a few moments brought me back to the 90s in a good way. That I've heard Nirvana, Pearl Jam, all those so many times that I don't really associate nostalgia with it because it's just been ongoing. Mm-hmm. But bands like that I haven't heard in a long time takes me back. And first thing I thought of these shows, how energetic they were, but they were borderline revival, religious experience, same type of thing where they would get everybody worked up into a frenzy. And the one thing I thought about that it's so hard to replicate that now, there wasn't a single freaking cell phone.
That's right.
In that crowd.
Everybody was fully engaged with what was going on.
Eye
in front of them.
contact for that band. That lead singer, he had the grasp of everybody's attention during that show.
Todd Horn. So all of those little bits where they're instrumental, Todd was basically up front getting people to do moves and pointing people out, and he was just interacting with the crowd.
You don't get that from the audio. Like, you need a video to see how active he was.
It's unfortunate. I haven't checked out YouTube. I bet if you go look, I bet there is some Spider Monkey.
Well, here, play a video next, and we'll listen to. No, never mind.
I bet there is some out there. I haven't looked for it, but that was really a time when, unless you had somebody in the audience with a camcorder, you weren't getting any video.
Shoulder mounted.
Yeah, exactly. We're talking mid '90s here.
Yeah.
So another interesting thing, being a guitarist, you and I both, especially in this time, I was a guitarist in a band as well, is Garrett had the same setup that I had, and I always thought that was kind of interesting because we basically very minimalistic. You've got your overdrive pedal to take you just one step further than your amp would go, and this was before I was playing Marshalls. I don't remember what he was playing, but it kind of sounded like those weren't Marshalls, so it was some solid state deal. Maybe not. I could be wrong, but
we all went there. We all went to the dark side.
You had
for a
your
while.
boost with your overdrive, and then if you were going to have a quiet part, you cut that overdrive off and you put your chorus on, and he did that. The chorus effect.
That might have been what I was thinking of as far as that
really takes me back.
A chorus pedal. Yeah.
That chorus effect when you're doing that kind of funky picking. So
I'm going to go shop for that tonight. I don't think I've got one.
And I think that was it. There was the only pedals I had for a while, and then I got fancy and got the whole digital thing. You and I both kind of went through that digital phase.
I'm looking over at my guitar setup trying to remember if I've got a chorus pedal. Yeah, I blew up a Fender, then I got a Line 6, blew that up on stage. I think, was it twice?
That was in the
that was later on.
Late 90s,
yeah,
2000.
Late 90s, 2000, that I went through 2 different digital amps on stage. Like, as we're playing, blew them up. Shit.
So we've played a couple of songs from them, and what's interesting is you can see in all of the rest of the songs that we're going to play the progression. Tony was always a badass. The bass player, absolute badass from day one. But you can see the progression of Garrett, the guitarist. He just gets better and better as time goes, because I'm sure he hadn't been playing that long when they started.
And then you start playing shows several times a week.
Exactly. Then you're playing 250, 300 shows a year.
Yeah.
The progress that he makes over the course of these recordings is pretty impressive. Not that he wasn't good to begin with, but he was kind of
polished that. Whatever he had, he polished it.
Yeah. So it's just cool to hear that, and you'll hear that with our next release. So in 95, they released what I consider their best album. It was their second full length. They had a little more money in their pocket this time around. They've been on the road for several years. They've written some really strong songs, and I believe this was the album that either they were shopping or that they thought was going to get picked up, because it's phenomenal, and it came out in 95, and it fits in exactly with everything that was going on alternative in 95. It's not grunge. It's not following any specific trend, but it's very 90s, and it could have been picked up by any label at that point in time. And why it didn't, I don't know. They should have been huge. They're selling out venues everywhere they go up and down the East Coast. By this time, they're starting to go out a little bit. I don't know if they did Midwest or not. I kind of doubt it, but I do know they went to LA.
Too long of a drive between cities. Once you get east of the Mississippi.
Well, I don't know how they would have done in the Midwest at that time. Maybe well, I don't know. But yeah, this album came out. It's amazing. We played a song from this on the episode that we had. And this is also around the time that I saw them for spring break, as well as when my band opened for them. So 1995, I believe, was when all that went down. The album's called Motivator, and I'm going to play the title song called Motivate.
Well, I can't find a time.
That was T-I-T-E tight.
Yes, sir, it was. Good stuff. I just remembered something else I stole from this band, and that I stole a lot from this band.
Yeah, I was thinking, they were more of an influence than I remember.
But the great harmonies. So Tony, the bass player, he would sing that high harmony over Todd's vocals. And what you heard here, they pulled off live perfectly because both Garrett and Tony did the background singing. And I know that Michael Anthony did it with Roth, right? You always heard that
and
really
Hagar.
high and Hagar. But I never really thought about it in terms of me. And when I saw Tony doing the high voice at that point, because of the comment Tony made to me, I was doing this real low register kind of yarling grungy thing with my voice. So I was always doing the low. I was always trying to do that stuff. And then
the
when I
Elvis
saw
range.
Yeah, and then when I saw him, I was like, oh, I could probably push higher, and it actually cuts and sounds better from a background perspective. Now, why I didn't pick up on Michael Anthony doing that, I don't know. It took Tony Gianluca.
Yeah, he'd only been doing it for 20 years at that point.
It took another bass player to show me that could be done.
But it's true. I mean, I think Kent did a lot of that in our band.
He did.
He had a really good upper range, so he could hit those
upper
notes.
Register, and it just cuts, and it makes sure that your listener, even in a club setting, is hearing the harmony.
And most people don't understand how much of Van Halen's sound comes from Michael Anthony. Those harmonies made, I mean, especially
They
live.
would not be the same.
No, they would. I mean, in the studio, you can mimic that. They can double track, things like that. But live, you watch live footage of that band and how good they sound. People don't appreciate him.
No, it took the sum of all of them to really make Van Halen. As good as Edward was, as good as David Lee Roth was, it took all of them. I mean,
you take one
even
of them
Alex.
out.
Alex was just amazing, man. Nobody drums like that guy. But yeah, those vocals from Michael Anthony, amazing. And Tony Gianluca here,
Same
Spider
thing.
Monkey. Another thing that I thought I'd mention with this band is, and I don't know where this came from. I should really talk to my college buddies, either Blake or Joey, to see the origin of this. But I mentioned that we saw them a lot. So we were those Clemson guys, and we would go see them in all these different places, and they'd be like, oh my God, there's the Clemson guys again. And for some reason, one of the guys told all of us, hey, scream out men's room.
Men's room?
Men's room. So apparently, I don't have any recordings of this, but apparently one of their early songs that's not on any of their release material was called Men's Room. And it was funny, but I don't remember exactly why. But that became our other calling card, is we would shout Men's Room. So if we were in a very big setting where Spider Monkey was playing and they started hearing Men's Room coming from the audience, they were like,
oh, that's
there are those Clemson guys.
That was your calling card.
Yes.
Who are you? I'm the guy that yells Men's Room.
We always asked for Men's Room. We would get Men's Room played about half of the time.
Yeah.
And the other half of the time, they're like, no, we're not playing that song.
They would acknowledge it, but like, yeah.
Nobody else knows that song. We're not playing it. Just something else I remembered as I was listening to this band. This is a lot of nostalgia for me as well. So what do you do after you release your second album? You've had a first album, a live album, second album. You're still trying to get signed. For whatever reason, this is not happening. What are you going to follow that up with? Well, let's do another live album.
Not quite greatest hits. Not ready for that just yet.
Yeah, this is, part 2.
Covers? No, not quite covers ready.
No, this is another live album. So in 1996, I guess being a band from Florida, they put out an album called Frenzy, which has a bunch of gators on the front of it.
Yes, Feeding Frenzy.
Yeah, another live album by 96. They had just released a live album in 94. Interesting. Now, at this point, this is where they were at the top of their game as far as selling out places and just a big draw. They were playing festivals and all up and down the East Coast. Now, their openers, this was interesting because I went out and researched this. The bands that were opening for them, not playing with them, opening for them, there was a band called Tabitha's Secret from Florida. Now, that band had to rename themselves, and when they did, they went multi-platinum. That was Matchbox 20. So Matchbox 20 was playing with them. There was another band from Florida that was opening for them on around this time, and their name was Creed. They went on to do some pretty big things. There was this guy from Atlanta that would play opening for them every once in a while when they came around this area. His name was Zach Brown.
Zach Brown opened for them?
Uh-huh.
Really? I didn't know he'd been around that long.
Yeah, he went on to do some other things.
He's done well.
There was this kid from South Carolina who would kind of play his acoustic-y stuff before them, but he opened for them as well. His name was Edwin McCain. Yeah, he went on to do some things.
I see a trend here.
Yeah, a couple bands from Tennessee, I believe. There's a band called Fuel. They opened for them quite a bit. Maybe a Florida band.
I might have heard of them,
Yeah. Fuel did a couple big albums, and then there was this band from Tennessee called Kings of Leon that opened for them as well.
Yes.
All of these bands, you're probably hearing their name for the first time, but they all went on to do some pretty big things. Yet here's Spider Monkey
Just playing around,
playing
having a good
the
time.
East Coast and not going where these other bands would go. I don't know why. It does not make sense to me. These are the bands that wanted to play with Spider Monkey because Spider Monkey was filling the house.
They had the draw. They knew they'd have a packed house.
Yeah. So with this live album, there are a lot of new songs, and one that I just loved. It just was so fun live. This was a sweat song. This is Todd Horn was the Richard Simmons of rock stars. He could just make you sweat. So this is a song called "Oh Yeah."
Yes, God. It's so the heat is on and we start shaking off our clothes. It's time to get cool as far as coolness goes. This show's what's going on and this feeling is right. And I'm the cool guy in the spotlight. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Come on now, oh yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah! Oh yeah! Get funky! Wherever we may be, it is the place to be. The people start flocking to us naturally. The show's going on, and this feeling is right. And we're the cool guys in the spotlight. Oh yeah! Oh yeah! Oh yeah! Oh yeah! Come on, come on! Oh yeah! Oh yeah! Oh yeah! Oh yeah! I'm a cool guy. I'm a cool guy. I'm a cool guy. In the spotlight. I'm a cool guy. I'm a cool guy. I'm a steady eye. There's blowing out sunshine. Until next time, I think that's it. We gotta go.
Such deep, thought-provoking lyrics from this band.
That's a live song. That
Yeah.
is a fun live song.
And you have to keep in mind the absolute mayhem that was going on in that audience.
Exactly.
This is the end of the show. Everybody's had 3 or 4 beers by now. So, yeah, it was
it's-
just nuts.
It's all anyone could do to get the words "Oh yeah"
Oh,
out.
yeah, before you fall down. Oh, there's the floor.
Beer drenched, just people going nuts.
Yeah.
And that's what it was. It was mayhem. That's a good way to say it, because pandemonium when Spider Monkey came to town. So then by 1997, they released their last full-length album to date, and it was heads and above in production. So they obviously had some income at this point to put into it, and at this point in time, I had moved to Atlanta, and this came out right before I met you, I believe. I think we met in 98.
98,
right?
summer 98.
Yeah, so this came out in 97. This would have been the album, the latest album that they were touring on when we saw them. And I saw them in Little 5 Points and then again in Buckhead with you. I believe that was probably closer to 99, probably when we saw them for the last time. And by that point in time, even though this album was incredible, again, they're doing it on their own. They have not gotten signed. I wish I could find more information out. I guess I could reach out to some of the guys and find out, but I don't really know the story of why. It's just they should have been huge because, like I said, if you were anywhere in the Southeast during this time when this band was in your town, they were selling it out. But you could tell by the time we saw them, even though you enjoyed it, I know that you could tell that they were wearing down a little bit. The stage banter was getting a little more aggressive, and it wasn't as fun anymore. When Todd was yelling at you, he was yelling at you.
Yeah, he went in a good mood.
He was calling people out, and I remember at one point, I think something happened to Tony's bass in this show that we went to at the Chameleon Club, and the band that opened for them was called Come On Thunderchild. I remember this because I bought a CD, and it's really good, but they were, I can't remember if they were Athens or if they were from North Carolina. They may have been from North Carolina, but they were kind of like a Black Crowes kind of retro 70s kind of deal, and he had the bass player had a Gibson Ripper, and so Tony had to play what he plays on this Gibson Ripper bass, which is not really suited for the funky stylings of what Tony was doing. That memory sits with me that he had to adapt to this bass that he was not used to. I could see that causing a
huge amount of frustration.
And Tony was just not having it. He was like bitching. He was just in a bad mood. He was just bitching about the fact that he's playing why does he has to play this shitty bass? And I'm like, that's not cool, man. It's just not his bass.
Right.
You know? But you could just tell they were wearing out. They had been on the road since 1992, pretty much nonstop. 250 shows a year, man. That's a lot. And they were just wearing down. It was 99. They called it quits. And Todd went on to be in other bands, and Garrett did as well. I'm not really sure about the other two, if they went on to do other things or not.
What do you do after you've been on the road for almost 7 years, with a few breaks, but still, that's your life for 7 years on the road? Not just being in a band, but being on. It's a very different experience.
Yeah.
We went on the road for a few days. I mean, not years.
Yeah, they would go into
different.
They would go into these college towns, and they were, I don't know if they were doing hotels, or more than likely they were finding girls that they could crash at.
Crashing on floors.
Crashing with girls or with people on the floor or whatever. But yeah, doing that for a long time, that's hard business, man.
Yeah.
And also probably not making nearly the money that they should have been making, because they probably didn't have the backing that they needed to make that money, and they obviously never got signed.
Yeah.
So they couldn't pull maybe some of the figures that a band who rolled in, who had really only been around for 2 years, but they had major label support behind them, could pull.
Yeah,
they were getting paid a lot
per
more.
diems and expenses and all this other stuff.
Exactly. So yeah, they wound it down in 99. Like I said, they went on to do some other bands, but those other bands never had the same appeal that Spider Monkey had. That was just it was a point in time kind of a thing. They would eventually reunite, and we'll talk about that when we get back. But I want to play something from Insatiable from their 1997 release, and again, the production on this is pretty top notch. This is a song called Fever.
Still keep me warm, chill to the bone, and I'm burning up.
Wow. What a difference a little moolah makes.
Right? I mean, that in 1997, there is no reason that should not have been on the airwaves of 99X in our town or any of the X stations in any of the other towns.
Fits with Marvelous 3.
Oh, man.
Same time.
Oh, they would have toured together?
Yeah.
It would have been phenomenal.
God, what a show that would have been.
It would have been amazing.
Crap.
Yeah, Butch Walker, that would have been an awesome collaboration if Butch Walker would have gotten a hold of these guys then and done the producing.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine what that would have been like.
Because that was as if a record company had snatched them up and said, let's put them in the studio, give you some good equipment and a good engineer.
And how about the path forward that Garrett Coleman, the guitarist, is, I mean, from that first recording that you heard it to this, I mean, this is a different guitarist. This guy's just, he's really into his instrument now. Just amazing. Really good guitar playing, really good bass playing. Just everything is top notch. Really hooky. Sing-along choruses.
I miss those.
I don't know why this band was not on the airwaves, especially at this time. This is when a ton of money was being spent on artists who had not developed themselves at all.
Here's $100,000. Go on tour.
Here, we're going to pay for you to record. Yeah, we've only been together for 6 months. That's okay.
That's okay.
We're going to take care of this.
That's all right. No,
we'll develop you.
Damn.
Unreal. They don't do that anymore.
Good old days.
Man, I don't know why. I think of the band Eve 6. That's one of those bands that had a development deal. So basically, they put them together at a young age, and they made a record, and it was a development deal. They intended for them not to do well. Well, they got a big hit.
Yeah.
And then they just pushed the hell out of them, right?
And that was it.
And they had a kind of a one-hit wonder. I think they had a couple albums, but the reason I bring them up is last year or maybe even this year, I was looking through Facebook. Spider Monkey has since regrouped.
I was going to ask about that.
Yeah, just to do some reunion shows. And they actually played on a festival in Florida with Eve 6. And I'm like, they should have been Eve 6.
Yeah, they would have had a lot more hits.
Yeah, so anyway, just love this band. I just never understood why this band that literally sells out everywhere I saw them, why they didn't get huge. And I'm sure there's some stories there. Maybe one day I'll be able to find out what they are. But I wanted to play some of the songs. I want people to know, this band that's out there. I'm pretty sure you can go on iTunes. I don't know. I've had these CDs forever, so I would think they'd be on YouTube at least.
And
So
any episode that we get a chance to talk about Panama City,
right.
That's worth it.
Yes,
it's a long way to go for that, but it's worth it.
Redneck Riviera.
Oh my God, I lost some brain cells there.
So now I mentioned they reunited. They reunited in 2018. So they did some shows. They played a sold-out show at the Windjammer in the Isle of Palms, South Carolina. I was there 2 weeks ago.
Oh, son of a...
Yep. So I went by the Windjammer. That I had actually seen Spider Monkey there in the 90s, and that was one of those places that they really packed out. I mean, people in South Carolina loved this band, and that place was a fun place to see them. So I believe my buddies from college went to see that show in 2018. I bet that was amazing. And they actually dropped a new single in 2018 as well. They went ahead and did some recording. So I want to play that for you. This is Good Thing. It's a single. It's on iTunes. Came out in 2018. This is them so many years later.
Good
Damn. You've got to reach out to these guys.
Right.
See if you can get somebody to respond. They need to come play a show here.
I agree.
That would be, I mean, he sounded great.
Sounded amazing.
And just the production on that, amazing. The song content, the arrangement, all that. It's timeless.
It had a little bit of an 80s feel. I thought it was kind of cool. It had like a little Breakfast Club kind of vibe to it or something.
Interesting.
That I was getting. I don't know why, but yeah, I mean, they've progressed as musicians, and yet they still retain the same sound of that Spider Monkey.
Yeah.
Sounds just like him. Todd's voice is a little lower.
I was going to say it's heavier, but that's okay though. It still sounds good. It's not weak.
No,
it's just, and it's more mature.
Absolutely amazing. I wish they'd do a whole album because that was the one song that came out in 18, and
I'd buy it.
Like I said, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that they've played a show recently. So they're still doing these kind of one-off, one-a-year reunions. Obviously, they didn't do anything last year because nobody was doing anything last year. But I think the show they played with Eve 6 was, I believe that was fairly recent.
Well, none of their old clubs are here anymore. We have to find them a new club.
Yeah, exactly.
A new nasty old club.
They'd have to do some different things. Yeah. But, shoulda, coulda, woulda, but I really wish they would have gotten what they deserved, which was a nice fat check and lots of money to go on tour and do this worldwide, because they certainly deserved it.
Yep.
Now, the other thing, I do have one song I want to play as we close today. Anything else from you on Spider Monkey or the 90s in general?
Two things I'd like to point out. First of all, your shirt, Los Kung Fu Monkeys.
Yes.
So that's on point that you have a theme tonight.
I have 3 monkey bands that I really love.
Okay. So
Los Kung Fu Monkeys.
You get credit for that.
Yes.
And also want to point out that our guest that's been with us the entire episode, for the very first time, Ronnie James D.O.G.
You're right.
Has stayed in the room with us the entire episode and not caused absolute havoc. Because normally, 10 minutes into the recording, he starts raising hell and wants to play and bark and do all kinds of shit.
You're right. I guess because it's lightning outside. Is that why he's hanging out?
I got
or is he just chilling with old age?
In the past week, I've had 4 or 5 people comment that he seems to be just maturing very nicely, like his owner should one of these days. But
we just did a podcast with Dio.
My boy, he's growing up, man. He's getting grown up. So anyway, I just want to point that out. Because, we from the very beginning, every single episode, we start it, I throw him out in the hallway, close the door.
You're right.
Because we learned the hard way. But
I didn't even think about that.
He can hang out with us. Now. We'll see how long that lasts. So that's it.
Well, now we're going to talk about something that's not mature at all. So another big appeal for me with Spider Monkey was that they were very immature on stage and that they would make lots of jokes, which today they may not be able to get away with.
Nope.
And I just want to play, kind of
our favorite song.
Yeah. Because know what it's about.
Oh yeah, I remember that song. What was it about? Boobies.
This next song is about the boobies. Oh, those boobies. Aptly enough.
Let's make it work, girls. It's time to take off your time.
Get up.
Take off your top.
We are the monkeys, we love to see boobies. Yes, we
I wish that song was longer every time we play it. I really do.
Hey, anybody that takes that shit a little too serious, man, like criticizes for that shit, hey, kiss my ass, all right? You know what? This shit's all about a good time.
That
man.
one is huge in Belgium, too, so I don't want to
Our
hear it.
show is about a good time, don't you guys think, man? Like, you want to get all alternative and I'm all miserable and shit. Fuck that, man. We're not miserable, man. We're having a good fucking time.
I miss that so much. Right. Having a good time. I miss just...
He just made every statement and everything that I felt at that time as well.
God,
like,
yeah.
Stop taking yourself so seriously. And it can still be said to this day, especially
even
now.
more importantly, today.
The Booby Song.
Yes. God bless the Booby Song.
Not only were they on a perpetual tour, but they were perpetually 13 just like me.
We're all waiting to grow up one of these days.
Yeah. And I swear I never saw them play that song where that event did not take place.
Yeah,
it was amazing.
I'm pretty sure. I don't remember how many, because we were towards the back by then.
Yeah.
I think it was like...
There were a lot of shirts raised.
There was a lot of shirts raised. The mosh area was kind of up front, and I think I noped out of that because it was pretty intense. So we're towards the back. And I think, it was just some pairs.
Yeah. It was, late at night, late in the set. Perfect timing because the beer has...
It was flowing. It had been flowing.
Into the body. And
yes.
Your inhibitions are gone, and
it was loose.
A lot of boobies in the crowd.
Yeah.
That's what I have for you today, man.
Thank you. Really. Ending on a perky note.
Yes, ending on a very perky note. Anything else, sir, from you?
No, I'll just take that visual and just, end on that. That'll get me through till next week.
Exactly. So go check out some Spider Monkey if you dare. I'm sure you can find it out there.
Mm-hmm.
Go check it out. Yeah. We will see you next time.
See ya.
Later.